Welcome to the Boat Galley Podcast. I'm Carolyn Shearlock, here with tips, reviews, and how-tos for your cruising adventure. This episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by FastSeas.com. Plan your next passage using FastSeas.com. Whether you're after speed or comfort, FastSeas will find the optimum route to your destination. FastSeas, making weather routing simple. Use coupon code GALLEY2018 for an exclusive 10% discount. Slow down. Taxes. You can't escape them, even by cruising off into the sunset. So how do you collect all the documents and numbers, complete all the forms, file, and pay or get your refund? Okay, I'm an American, so this is obviously going to deal with U.S. taxes. There are three basic ways of dealing with income taxes while you're cruising. The first is an extension. If you're a part-year cruiser, you can get a 6-month extension and then deal with it all when you get home. Since you do still have to pay any taxes you owe by April 15th, you need to have a pretty good idea of your income and make sure that you've had enough withheld or made estimated payments to cover the taxes. Any overpayment will be funded to you when you file, and you'll owe interest and possibly penalties if you've underpaid. The second option is an accountant. You can hire an accountant to deal with it all and make sure to get all the information to that person in plenty of time. The problem lies in collecting the needed information and getting it to the tax professional. Much of your info can be found online. I'll talk about this in a minute. But there always seems to be at least one item that comes only in the mail. You have to make your arrangements with the tax preparer ahead of time and figure out how you'll communicate. And the final option is to e-file. Tax software lets you prepare and file your taxes wherever you are, as long as you've got a reasonably fast and secure internet connection. This has been our option, using a downloaded version of TurboTax. I prefer to download it instead of using their online version, as I think it's more secure when using Wi-Fi or even cellular data. But that's a gut feeling, not something I've really researched. Again, you're going to need access to your documents. For any of these to work, you're going to need fast and secure internet. It can't be painfully slow or subject to frequent dropouts. You may have to make plans to spend a few days in a larger city just for good internet. I prefer not to use public Wi-Fi for this. We have always paid for cellular data or the most secure Wi-Fi or hardwired connection we could. You're going to be accessing all of your financial information. Even if you're opting to get an extension or work with an accountant, you're going to need access to your documents. If you're filing for an extension, you can do it online, but you want to check that there are no surprises in your W-2s, 1099s, and so on. If you're working with an accountant, you'll want to check your documents and also be able to communicate via email and possibly on Skype or some other phone service to avoid the cost of international calls. You're going to need a printer. If you opt for preparing your own taxes and e-filing, it's incredibly helpful to have a printer available. Unless your taxes are extremely simple, you'll probably want to print some documents out as you're preparing your taxes. I find it makes it easier to enter things that I can't import, and it's also a good idea to print and proof the whole thing before filing. I find I do a much better job of proofing if I have a paper copy in front of me than trying to do it on my laptop screen. I also prefer not to have to go to a marina office, public library, or internet cafe to print, as I always worry that they may not be particularly secure, or that perhaps an extra copy could be printed and show up somewhere else. Okay, you're going to need last year's tax forms. Make sure that you have a copy of last year's taxes with you. No matter what option you choose, you may very well need to refer to it. If you or your accountant use software to prepare it, and who wouldn't, it's usually very easy to make a PDF copy and store it on your laptop, external drive, or a data stick. Otherwise, keep a paper copy with you. If you'll be using tax prep software and used the same software last year, be sure to have a copy of the data files, not just a PDF, but the actual data files on your laptop or a CD or a data stick, so that last year's information can just be imported into this year's return. It really saves time and prevents errors. Okay, getting to your documents. Well before tax season, make sure that you have signed up for online access to all your financial accounts. It's a good idea to do this even if you're not going to do your taxes online, so simply to cut down on the amount of paper that has to be forwarded to you. Many of these documents can be directly imported into tax software. Others you may have to download and then transfer the numbers. First is your W-2. Many employers do offer some type of online access. Even many small companies do if they utilize a payroll service. Most tax software lets you import it directly. Your 1099s. If you work as a freelancer or have many other types of income, you'll get 1099 miscellaneouses for anyone who paid you over $600. Some have ways for you to get them online, but many, I've learned, don't. I'll talk a little bit more about alternate ways to get these documents in a minute. Your banks. Not just the ones that you think of as your bank, but also anywhere where you have a credit card, a loan, a mortgage with, whatever, as well as anywhere you may have retirement accounts, such as your IRAs or an employer pension. Investment services, brokerages, and anywhere else you have money invested. If you get a K-1 from a partnership, many of those are available online too. Social Security. If you get Social Security payments, you can finally get your 1099-R online. Sign up at My Social Security, you can Google and find it. To get your 1099-R, click on the link on their site to get a replacement 1099-R. They call it a replacement, you might consider it your only one. A pension. If you draw a traditional pension, many companies now have ways for you to access your 1099-R online. Obviously, this varies by company or government entity, and the exact ways to get it will vary. The health insurance marketplace. You'll need a copy of your Form 1095 if you had health insurance through the marketplace or a state exchange. You can get one from the federal marketplace under Documents, and I believe from all the state marketplaces as well. Now, you may need other documents as well. Check your tax records for the last couple of years to see what all applied to you, and then use Google to find out if they're available online. The last couple of years, I've noticed I could get far more documents online than the year previous. You'll also need all of your normal personal records, such as charitable contributions, medical expense receipts, and so on. Some may be available online, such as prescriptions from some pharmacies, but realize that this doesn't work well if you're on the move and use numerous different locations for services. Keeping your own records is best. We keep a big Ziploc bag that we put all possible needed for taxes, receipts, and documents in. For us, it's been a long time since we had enough medical expenses to deduct, but we never know what may happen later in the year, so we save all the receipts from January 1st on. We can always throw them out if we don't need them for tax purposes. Then there's the paper documents. There is always something that only comes in the mail, it seems. Some number that's not in my records and I can't get online. I need something that's in the mail. A good mail service can really help out. Whether it's a friend, family member, or a professional mail service, you can have them find the envelope, open it, and either scan or photograph the document, or just type the bit of information you need. Two things here. You want someone that you trust, and they need to be comfortable with technology, that is, scanning or photographing the item and attaching it to an email. You could, of course, have them forwarded the mail to you if you have time. And that brings up the next point. Start early. I cannot overemphasize the importance of starting early when working on taxes remotely. It will take longer than you think, especially if you have problems getting a document. And now, a couple of e-filing tips. These are particularly important if you haven't used e-filing before. Any good tax program includes all the IRS forms you'll need, so you don't have to worry about trying to find them. If it's your first year using tax prep software, you'll have to enter all your information. In subsequent years, the program will import a lot from the previous year as long as you're using the same program, same brand, that is, like TurboTax to TurboTax. Then you can make changes if necessary. I found this is great to remind me of all sorts of things I might otherwise forget, such as, last year you received interest from XYZ Bank. Did you receive interest from it again this year? Yeah, I'd forgotten to import the tax info from this account. You can also tell it that an item no longer applies. For example, for us, the other bank account that we had closed. Okay, you can pay taxes or get a refund directly to and from your bank account when you're e-filing. You just need the routing number and account number from the bottom of a check to use your checking account. To use your savings account, you'll have to consult your bank. Usually directions are on the bank's website. If you owe money, you can go ahead and file when everything is done, and then schedule the payment to be made closer to the tax deadline. If we have to pay, we schedule the payment somewhere from April 5th to 10th, just in case there's any glitch. There never has been, but if I'm outside the U.S., I don't want to be trying to resolve it at literally the last hour. Do a final update on your tax software just before filing, in case they've made any changes. Most tax software packages come in several versions, depending on how complex your tax situation is. Choose wisely, but most do allow you to upgrade to a higher package in the middle of preparing a return if you discover you chose the wrong one. When I did this a couple of years ago with TurboTax, I didn't lose any of my work, and it didn't cost any more than to have gotten the higher level package in the beginning. Okay, estimated tax payments. If you need to make federal estimated tax payments, you can pay online from your checking or savings account, which is free, or with a credit card, for which there's a fee. You can use it to make any federal tax payments needed. I recommend making your payment at least a few days in advance of any deadline, in case there are any internet problems or anything. You can also use this to make payment in connection with filing from an extension. Some states also have online payment options for state estimated taxes. Google to determine if your state does. 25 states and various municipalities also let you use a service called Official Payments with a credit or debit card, which charges a convenience fee. You can also use it for some local and real estate tax payments, utility bills, and more in a pinch. In sum, taking care of tax obligations is a heck of a lot easier now than it was when we began cruising in 2002. Back then, we knew of a number of people who scheduled trips home just to deal with taxes. That's no longer necessary unless you have a very complex tax situation, perhaps having sold a business to go cruising or something. Still, you have to plan ahead and make sure you have access to everything you need. Thanks for listening. If you like the show, please be sure to subscribe in your podcast app. Just search for the Boat Galley Podcast. And reviews are always appreciated. Until next time, then.
Slow down, slow down.